Deshaun taking QB1 and Shedeur maybe as a backup and the offense cooking perhaps.
Look, I feel, and you know I like Shedeur, may the best quarterback start. That's how I feel. Greg, and you know better than me, but I'm thinking if they have a top-tier defense. Mm-hmm. They've improved. Kenshawn Junkins, the rookie, was great last year as a running back. They obviously got Jerry Jeudy. They added 2 top-flight receivers, Casey Concepcion, Denzel Boston in the draft.
Yep.
Like, if you are in training camp and practice every day, and Deshaun Watson is clearly better, I just think you can't say to the rest of your team, we're going to go out there with Shedeur or whoever it might be. When Deshaun looks much better, it's just not fair to the players. How can you ask them to go out there and give it their all to win when we're not playing our best quarterback for various reasons? Look, people will say the stuff, we know what happened with him. Obviously, none of us like what happened with that situation. I think it also messed him up mentally. He's now 4 years removed for that. Maybe he's in a better place. He's only 30 years old. And so I know he's had surgeries and Achilles and all that. But if he looks like the guy, I'd put him out there. And I know that, what if he plays really well? Then this is the last year of his deal. Would you have to extend? That'd be a good problem to have if I'm the Browns. And I would deal with that when I had to deal with it. But for now, I'm like, let's put the best quarterback in there. If it's Shedeur, fine. But if it's Deshaun, I might as well play him.
Look, this isn't surprising to me when you think about just him being a veteran guy, him being Deshaun Watson. He's going to have an advantage. Yes, they're getting the same start, but this is the second offense in less than a year that Shedeur's had to learn. There was reports that he kind of struggled picking up the offense last year. And so naturally, because Deshaun Watson has played for years, there's a learning curve that he doesn't have to go through in terms of protection, being able to ID blitzes and picking things up.
That's all coming to a head in voluntary camp for a few days?
When you're sitting in those meetings and you're being asked those questions and you can just roll them off, like Deshaun's going to have every answer to every test. Right now, it's not even – so this isn't surprising. What will be impressive is – because Mary Kay's is like, let him cook. We haven't seen Deshaun Watson cook since being a Texan.
I mean, in 6 years.
And so I don't know.
You mean you don't think he's still – and I don't know if he has.
I think he's
I'm
terrible.
just saying he's been terrible. Has he staying terrible?
I'm talking about it purely as I'm keeping this totally on the field. I think just as a quarterback, he's terrible.
Geno was terrible at one point. Sam Darnold was terrible at one point.
It was not – hold on. I think we are – if Shedeur Sanders cannot beat out Deshaun Watson, even in year 2, it is a stinging indictment on wherever Shedeur is going to be as a pro. I'm not as high on Shedeur as you are, Brew, but I did not expect him to lose a fair head-up competition to Deshaun Watson.
Okay. Guys, what Greg Jennings said is 1,000% correct. I don't understand why people downplay the advantage that a veteran has. Like, this is something that I pretty much only see media and fans do. No player actually,
and that's why Greg is the only one that's actually speaking reality here. Because that is how it is, and this is what I had said all last year when we were talking about Shedeur, where I said even a player like a Kenny Pickett at this point has a greater advantage, has a greater likelihood of starting over Shedeur Sanders, not because Kenny Pickett is some great quarterback or that he's so much better than Shedeur. It's but because he understands how to play NFL football better than Shedeur, because he's a veteran, he's more experienced. He's played for multiple teams. He's been in multiple systems. He's had multiple coaches. Like the experience matters, and we had the best front row seat of that last year with multiple quarterbacks. Whether it be Kirk Cousins hopping in there with the Falcons or Phillip Rivers hopping in there with the Colts. You could see immediately what experience brings you. Aaron Rodgers is a shell of himself. I just watched randomly, it came up on my algorithm highlights from Aaron that was posted like 8 years ago. You know, like it was a long time ago. It wasn't even like up to date, even like up to date with the Packers even. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, what this guy was able to do is insane. I'm like, oh my gosh. And he's a shell of himself, yet he still operates an offense at an elite level, at the highest level. Can he do everything? Can he make all of the throws? Can he scramble? No. But being a leader. And in that regard operationally is a massive advantage and crucial to being great in the NFL, and it is something just by virtue of Shedeur's inexperience he doesn't have right now. So even if Deshaun beats him out and saying, well, this is an indictment on Shedeur, yes and no. On one side it's like, okay, well, you're not good enough quite yet to even make it like 50-50 right now, because if it was 50-50 you would go with Shedeur because you're expecting him to be the quarterback of your future. But if Deshaun is clearly the better quarterback, then it's like you weren't even able to make it difficult. It's like, okay, that's something, but it's not like how Nick is trying to set it up as like being everything. But the other thing is that we saw how great Deshaun Watson was in the past. Now I know he hasn't done it in a million years. I get it. And I'm also not talking about any of the other stuff. I'm just talking about on the field. And I know he's gotten injured and this that, well, you know, lots of people have been injured now. This is the NFL. All these quarterbacks have been getting injured and tearing their Achilles and their ACL and their MCL. So it's just like they all have. They all have. And if this roster is a lot better than the roster was in the past, and if this new head coach is a lot better than the previous head coach, well, then it's not a surprise that Deshaun Watson could succeed in this system and have a lot of success. It's not a surprise. The real question will be, can he actually get it done when you're running full speed on the football field? Right? That will be the biggest question and the biggest thing that we need answered. Because it makes sense, and at this part of the NFL this time he's number one. Like that actually makes sense just from everything that we should all understand about what it means to be an experienced veteran quarterback. And going up against a young up-and-coming quarterback. Now what it does show though is that Shedeur is not inevitable in that regard. Right? That it's not like as long as he just steps foot on the field that he just shows clearly, I'm him. I'm there, like that does mean something to a degree. But it's just like, I still think that there is a lot more nuance that needs to be, taken in for consideration when having this discussion. Like, to me it makes sense that Deshaun Watson has emerged having the edge over Shedeur. It is something to take in when trying to evaluate Shedeur. But like I said, it makes sense. What will really be interesting is once they're actually playing. Let's say Deshaun Watson does start. It's like, is Shedeur struggling so much to kind of understand all this that even if Deshaun isn't quite there physically, they still feel more comfortable with Deshaun? Like, that's when, like I said, that's why there's still more questions that need to be answered. I know OT of Shedeur fans are going to just jump and be like, this isn't fair, this, that and third, and it's just like, that is what makes sports awesome. It is the ultimate equalizer. It is the ultimate equalizer. The better players play. We can do this whole song and dance about like, no, we know first round picks get more of an opportunity and this and that, or oh, if you get paid this, like all of that is true, but at the end of the day, if you can ball, then you can ball. If you're better, then you are better. At the end of the day, some of those other types of situations that people always highlight that only can go so long. And especially if you're clearly better if you pay a wide receiver $40 and then there's another wide receiver who's getting paid $10, but that $10 wide receiver is clearly better, clearly 100% better. Will they give the $40 million receiver a lot more opportunities, a lot more chances? Absolutely. Will they work overtime to try to figure out how to make it work? Absolutely. But if that $10 million wide receiver is clearly better, he will find his way over top the $40 million wide receiver. It's just the way it works. Might not be instantly, may not be immediately, might not be overnight, but it'll happen. And it'll happen fast depending on how clear. If it's 50-50, if it's hovering right around, like, no, maybe not as much. But if it's clear, if it's, yeah, no, he is clearly better, well, then it's like, that's the way it goes. That's the way it goes. I mean, that's how this works. That's absolutely how this works in sports. Absolutely. So, yeah. It's going to be fascinating to see how it unfolds. But those are just my thoughts. I absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about the Cleveland Browns, Deshaun Watson, Shedeur Sanders? How is this news landing for you all? Let me know your thoughts. I read every single comment. So, whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get into some discussions. Let's get into some fights, but ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We're building an amazing community here, and I absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all generally feel connected to. Something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're well on our way to doing it. Please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. It really does help visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.